And welcome to the Technology Geek podcast. I am your host, Brandon Labani, the Technology Geek, and we're here every week to computers, the internet, open source, cell phones, all that stuff, and pretty much anything geek we talk about here on the podcast. So, working this week with our new recording equipment. We hope it goes well this time around. We had some problems with the audio equipment last week, but I think we got the kinks all straightened out. But as on anything else, when you have technical computer equipment, you will have tech problems. So we are working it out. But I think it's going to sound much better with the new audio equipment and all that type of stuff. People will be able to hear us better. It won't be fading in and out. There's other problems we've had, with the equipment over the years. So. But like I said, it is our 27th podcast, and we are a lot of things to talk about, as always, in tech, but we do have a couple of housekeeping tips. First of all, folks, we appreciate all the listener feedback, that we get all the time, but right now, what we're going to do, we're still going to take, your emails and the questions you submit via the website. Believe me, we're always going to take those. But we actually are trying to add more of a radio piece. We have a call-in number now, where you can actually call in and leave your feedback rather than having to sit there and type an email out and all that. And some of our people that listen to the show maybe aren't as tech-savvy as others. So we have a call-in number, 570-630-0744. And they call in, leave a message on the mailbox, and we'll play it. We're actually going to work our way somehow where we can actually hook the other computer I have in this office into the mixing board I have here, and actually go ahead and play the audio. We're going to work on that. But right now, let's just get the people calling in, getting the questions in, and anything you want to talk about. Anything, questions, comments, concerns, anything. I only have one rule, folks, and that is no bad language. I know people say, well, it's a podcast, but we don't need it. There's no need for it. What we do, we're not like shocks here or anything like that, so there's just no need for it. So I only ask that no bad language. Anything else, by the way, folks, is fair game. Anything about geek, anything about anything like that is all fair game. Computers, anything, it's all fair game, but just no bad language. So some other things. So we have. Actually, let's go ahead and get our sponsors out of the way here. Let's get the good housekeeping stuff out of the way here, because it is very, very important that we the sponsors, because they help pay some of the money we make on the sponsors. That pays for the website and the hosting and the bandwidth and all that. So. And by the way, folks, we do take donations on the website. Even if you can only donate $1, it helps tremendously. The hosting is expensive. The bandwidth is expensive. I don't mind giving my time, but I do. Sometimes just the expenses are what pile up on you. So if you can go ahead and just donate $1 or a couple bucks. Just to help the site go, and if you really enjoy the Technology Geek podcast and really enjoy what we do with the site and stuff like that, we'd greatly appreciate the donations. Believe me, every little bit helps. So, like I said, even if you only donate $1, we'd appreciate it. If everybody gives a little bit, keeps the site up and running. Our first sponsor, obviously our friends over at proxpn.com, wonderful cloud-based VPN solution. We've used them. I use them here. If you're in an internet cafe or just a place where where you might not be using the safest internet, you use ProVPN, connect in, and you can do all your banking, all that stuff securely, not worry about any identity theft or anything like that. And that's proxpn.com. And when you check out, use the coupon code TechGeek, TECGEK, and this way we get the credit for it. Let's not forget about our wonderful sponsors as well over at Audible, audibletrial.com/techgeek. They're a really wonderful service. We're very lucky to have them, and I like listening. I do a lot of driving with my business. As most people know that listen to the show, I have my own computer company, and I do so much driving, and Audible is a wonderful way to get those hours passed, and actually too, what's really, really great if you listen. It's actually a learning experience, too, because you can listen to autobiographies and all that type of stuff. So it really is great. And that's audibletrial.com/techgeek. They have a mobile app for the phones And it really is just a really well done audio service, and they're very, very wonderful. Very glad to use them. And again, that's audibletrial.com/techgeek, TECHGEEK. And also sponsored as well by our friends over at allamericancomputerrepair.com, now offering remote support, web design, SEO, all that type of stuff. And they're really a wonderful company. And that's allamericancomputerrepair.com. And we're very grateful to have them as a sponsor as well. Some other stuff as well going on, and there's just so much going on right now, folks. I got to get this couple. I know this isn't a political show, but I just got to get this off my chest. This whole government shutdown thing. I know we're not a political show, and I know I say all the time I don't talk politics, but I just got to tell you, this whole government shutdown. Really, really hurting the small business owners, really hurting, people. And the reason why I say they're hurting the small business owners is because people aren't working. People aren't spending money. The big companies can absorb it for a while, but the little mom and pops are the ones that are going to feel it. This whole thing with the dropping the AAA credit rating, trying to scare everybody. It's not the first time, by the way, that the country's AAA credit rating has been dropped. By the way, I remember it was done a couple of years ago by President Obama. Nothing. It's not like it's not something that hasn't been done recently. And also too as well. This whole thing with the debt ceiling now. All that stuff. It's really, really unbelievable right now, folks. And I'm not saying I'm just saying I just think this whole thing is just getting out of hand now. And the news, obviously, all these news syndicates, trying to scare you into saying that Social Security checks aren't going to go out and stuff like that, and it's really out of hand now. They the first thing they always threaten with on the internet and on the television is Social Security is not going to go out. Social Security checks are going to go out, folks. If people don't get their checks, the country would just crumble. Okay, and they're not going to let that happen. The people shouldn't be scared by that. Stuff like the Amber Alert website going down, EPT, WIC, those things are really, really hurting the middle class families, and the people over at Congress who are getting paid, those people have no idea what the average American, family of four being supported on a minimum wage income, of $18,000 a year. Those people in Congress have no idea what these people are feeling, and not having those programs to assist them. It's hurting the middle class families. It's hurting the small business owner. The only people they're hurting is the people, the hardworking people in this country, and the people that do need the assistance. People that really need the assistance are the ones that are really suffering here. So I just had to get that off my chest, folks. It's not a political show. I really hate to talk about political stuff, but it's just something. I had to get that off my chest, and it's I'm very fortunate to have this platform. To be able to do that here on the political, the Technology Geek, and like I said, I don't like to talk political stuff, but it's really, really disheartening to hardworking Americans coming home and watching this thing on the television. It's just like a rock paper scissors thing. It's all over this Obamacare stuff, and this whole debt ceiling thing now. This isn't the first time we had debt ceiling. We had debt ceiling problems a few years ago. Our country got through them. And, just really a lot of things that perhaps don't need to be over in Washington right now. They're elected officials supposed to be working for us, and sometimes you really have to wonder if they are really working for us or not. But I just, something I want to talk about today. I know a lot of my friends, and the reason why I'm talking about this, a lot of my friends are fortunately affected by this in one way or another. The only silver lining is obviously these gas prices are dropping tremendously right now. So that's the only silver lining in this whole thing. But a lot of my friends affected by this, a lot of people I know, really feeling the hurt now and all that because of some of the programs and stuff like that. So that are shut down. So, thank goodness once the government shut down, everybody will be paid, retroactive. But that, it's tough right now, especially if we don't have any savings in the bank. It's tough. So. I know beer distributors and stuff are even feeling this now because of the federal shutdowns lasting longer than they did. So, they can't, sell their beer because they got to have somebody to come and inspect. Obviously the Amber Alert website went down. That really bothered me. We actually posted up on the website, thetechnologygeek.org. There's a lot of things really going on right now with this, and it really is quite disheartening from a technical standpoint, from just a personal standpoint. It's just really frustrating, and I just wanted to go ahead, folks, and just go ahead and get that off my chest. And like I said, I know we're not a political show, but if you guys have, any feelings on that or anything you want to talk about, the website, obviously, technologygeek.org, click on submit and send me your thoughts. The phone number, 570-630-0744. And by the way, folks, I know it is a toll call. So what we did was, if you go on the website, thetechnologygeek.org, you can just click on call me, and it'll call me right through your computer, and it won't cost you $1. It's like a toll call. It's like a toll-free call. So you can do that on the website, or if you're not comfortable doing that, if you don't mind paying, a long-distance charge on your phone, you can call it. But I don't know really talking about. We were just talking about that yesterday about the phone number. A lot of people was like, well, aren't you going to get an 800 number? With cell phones being what they are nowadays, I don't even think anybody pays long-distance charges anymore. I mean, landlines do, especially because with a business, you almost have to have a landline phone anymore. You can use Black Box or something like that. But, with business being what it is today, I mean, I don't know if anybody even bothers with long-distance tolls. I mean, I know the landline. I know we have a landline for my business, and I think we have free long-distance on it. I mean, I don't see... I don't see the whole. I just don't see people paying long distance charges like they did in the past. So, but like I said, folks, I just wanted to talk about this whole situation with the with the government shutdown and stuff. It's been a hot issue with people even on the website and stuff. When we put the blog up about the Amber Alert being shut down, a lot of people were really upset about that. So I just wanted to go ahead, folks, and really bring that up on the podcast today. Like I said, I know we're not a political podcast, but I just wanted to get that off my chest today. And, like I said, it's not the first time the country's AAA credit rating has been in trouble. It's not the first time that the debt ceiling hasn't been raised. It's none of that. It's as always, it's not the first time the government's been shut down, but however, we do know that the government shutdown did hurt the economy the last time it was shut down. So, again, folks, not tech related, but it's just something I really wanted to get off my chest. I really am tired of people living in fear over this, and I know a lot of people are affected by this, and it is a big deal. But I hate to see the older folks that call into the show and send things saying that and I had one person just the other day, 94-year-old woman said to me, I don't know if I'm going to be able to email you again because I don't know if I'm going to get my Social Security check. I don't know if I'll be able to keep my internet on. Stuff like that's really putting to bother me, folks, because the truth of the matter is the government knows. And they're not going to, remember one thing, if the government crushes, imagine how much money the people in Washington are going to lose. So, but that's the whole thing. Like I said, if you have any questions, any questions or anything you want to talk about, anything like that, go ahead. Again, the phone number 570-630-0744, and you can hit me up on the website as well. And obviously you can follow me on my Twitter at LaPannyTech, and anything like that, and we can discuss that off air. But so moving on into the world of tech today, a lot of the big news story I found this week that really made some serious waves is the GM switching to online purchasing. This is actually a big deal. It was actually a really big deal because GM is looking for you to you order the car right off the internet, and then you just go to a local dealership and sign the paperwork. As most of you know, the car dealer, I know a friend of mine does own a car dealership, a local business friend of mine does own a car dealership, and the car dealer industry has changed tremendously over the last maybe 10 years or so, he said, because people go on the internet and shop online. Years ago, before the internet was really big, you pay a little more for a car because you really couldn't shop online. Pretty much was on the lot. You bought what was ever on the lot, and that was it. Now people aren't afraid to go and shop online, compare prices. With Kelley Blue Book and stuff like that, you can go ahead right now and put the mileage in, see how much the car is worth. A lot of things have seriously changed in the car dealership industry, to say. So, what a lot of people are really this is really a big deal because now you can actually go online and actually just order the car, and then just go, get what you want, and then you just go to the car dealership and sign on the dotted line. And I have a feeling, that even itself, digital signing and all that being what it is. I mean, I have a feeling that could even, what the dealerships are afraid of something like this, and I understand their fear, by the way. With something like this, you can actually go right into the car dealership, sign the paperwork, and the car gets delivered there. You go in, sign the paperwork, and that's it. But what the big fear with the car dealerships is, what if digitally you sign it, and then the phone, the car somebody just delivers the car right to your doorstep. I don't know if that will happen or not, but that's what GM is going for. I don't know myself if I would buy a car that way. I'm going to tell you why. I believe in looking under the hood. I believe in test driving it to see if I like it. I'm sure there are ways around that. The GMC could work around that if they really wanted to. But maybe, if you wanted to, they probably would still have, GM himself could have, test drive areas and test drive places and stuff. But I think, the fear of a car dealership is that you wouldn't have to go there, but you'd be buying directly from the dealer. Just like you buy directly from, HP or Dell for your computers. That's a big fear for the car dealerships. And it's not something, and it's a reasonable fear as well, by the way. I know people that used to have car rental franchises, and then when companies like Enterprise said, "Hey, we'll pick you right up at the door," and you were dealing directly with Enterprise right over the computer, and you didn't need to go to a place to rent a car, and we just call Enterprise. Enterprise drops it off at your house. I mean, look at how that changed the car dealership, the car rental business tremendously. Now GM is trying to do that by changing their particular model, by doing what they're doing with. With selling directly to consumer with vehicles. I mean, it's not something that isn't unreasonable with the internet being what it is today. Like I said, a lot of people said to me, well, how would they do that with the, with test driving? And I don't, like I said, I'm not saying, look at what's going on right now. And people, like I told people all the time, look at what's going on right now. I mean, people are going to Best Buy, looking at products, and then going home and buying them on Amazon. Same thing might happen with car dealerships in the near future. You might go ahead right to the car deal. You might go test drive it and then come home and buy it right from GM. I mean, that's a reasonable fear in this modern day and age. So, I'm not saying it will happen, but that definitely was a big story with GM this week. So, some other stuff going on that I guess we'll talk about now that we've talked about the car dealerships, talk about the online purchasing, and like I said, guys, it's a reasonable fear. It really, really is. But it's something that it's the way the internet's taking the world today, which is a good thing. I think it is and isn't a good thing. So. I think it helps, but I think it also, too, hurts at times, jobs and all that type of stuff. We'll see what happens. By the way, I'm not a person, by the way, that believes that, the internet's taking away jobs. I don't believe that at all. I've told you this many times before in the podcast. I believe that the internet has brought more skilled jobs, but, the automation does definitely, does definitely maybe you might, computers, sometimes you can do, more with less, and so you do give one skilled job and take away 7 unskilled jobs. But again, I'm not, I don't want to get into that. But it's one of those things where it's if you're purchasing directly from. The only thing I thought about with this, and I don't know how true it is or not. I don't have any numbers on this, by the way. I've looked through the internet, but the whole particular. When you buy directly from the manufacturer, usually it'll be cheaper, but it doesn't, from what I've read in this article, the article I read this week, it doesn't look like the prices are going to be different. And I think that upsets me a little bit. You would think you get cheap, you would think things would be, cheaper if you were buying directly from the manufacturer. So in other words, if you're buying, you think you're buying from GM, you would get cheaper prices. But apparently from what I'm reading here, that the dealerships get a cut of whatever gets sold. So the only person that would be making more money here would be GM. It wouldn't be so much the consumer would be getting cheaper prices. And I think that was a little bit. I think that a little bit I thought was a little bit ridiculous. I thought you should at least get some money off. But we'll see what happens with that. Some other things as well in the news, I could say. And this was too talking about, and this is all wrapped up, by the way, with this whole thing with GM this week, talking about licensing centers and places like, places where you go and register your boat on the weekend and stuff like that. Licensing centers, being obsolete because you can go on the internet and register your boat on the weekend. The internet's always open. Then you print off your registration and all that. And talking about how licensing centers, a small business, the small, licensing centers, with everything in the government going online nowadays, talking about how licensing centers, somebody might be able to get their car and register it and all that and not even have to leave their house. You want to buy a car from somebody. But my only problem with that is, how do you know people? How do you know somebody's telling the truth? How do I know? How do I know that my friend came over? I decided to buy this car for $500. How do you know the car is actually worth $500? Now, with somebody like a licensing center, they would actually look at the car and say, "Hey, okay, it's worth a little more than $500." But then the argument can be said too. Somebody could lie to the licensing center person. There's really a lot of ways to look at it, but definitely the licensing centers are definitely. A lot of those are privately owned, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. Definitely going to be feeling the pinch with a lot of the stuff going online nowadays. So we will see how that goes. But that was another thing that was all tied up with the whole GM piece. That you can actually, go right online and register something. Why would you need to, drive to a licensing center, waste the gas on it when you can actually just do it all right online? Transfer titles, all that stuff right online. I don't know if that necessarily is a good thing or a bad thing. Just taking the notary piece out of it, which kind of keeps everybody a little bit on the honest side. But we'll have to see how that goes. There's a lot of mixed feelings on that. But we'll see how that goes. Really, if that's, I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. But you never know. But definitely something that was in the news, this week, and I did want to talk about it, and a lot of questions, by the way, coming through on the email, and hopefully through now on the phone number. Again, the phone number 570-630-0744, or you can dial it free on our website. Definitely, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think that things are, do you think this whole online purchasing thing directly from dealership is a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know what you think on that. Like I said, I've got, the whole retail business has changed tremendously especially over the last couple of years. But directly buying cars directly from the dealership, a good thing or a bad thing? I know the banks, when the car dealership thing first happened, the banks were crying because GM is in the business of selling cars, and so is Dodge, Chrysler, Ford. That's their business. They're in the business of selling cars. They're not in the business of loaning money. But they decided, well, hey, we can sell more trucks if we give somebody, 0% down for 7 years, 0% down, 0% interest for 7 years. And a lot of people said, well, yeah, that's only for people that meet those credit requirements. Right, but why? But think of on a small scale from one dealership. Yeah, you may only get a couple of weeks of people that qualify for that. But from a bank standpoint, those couple of people, that's a couple $1,000s in interest per person. So the whole Ford credit, GM credit, Chrysler credit, all those things with the 0% financing, or even then they started doing where they would match the interest rate to the bank, or they would even be lower than the interest rate from the bank. The banks were crying because everybody. Why would you go to a bank when you can go right through the, right through the Ford Chrysler credit? And the other thing too, folks, a lot of people don't realize is those places like Ford Chrysler credit, they were, and even GM credit, they were a little bit easier with their restrictions on people getting money, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but. They want to sell cars. That's what they're in the business of. The bank is going to be careful. They don't want to lose money. Because they're in the money business. Chrysler's in the business of selling cars. So their policies were a little lighter because they didn't want to sell the cars rather than a bank. But again, this whole thing, there's so many factors that come into play with a thing like this, and the way the industry is changing so quickly with buying directly from consumer. Selling directly to consumer. And believe it or not, the people that really, in my opinion, have really innovated that is definitely without a doubt Apple. They really got into this whole thing. Let's sell directly to the consumer, cut out the middleman. They really, but now Apple's, they were trends that have been, now they're trying to change them all a little bit because now they're in Best Buy and stuff like that. But at the beginning they were the ones that were definitely really the innovators of this. But we'll see what happens. By the way, talking about Apple, we'll segue into Apple here. The iOS 7, a lot of mixed reviews. I have to tell you, I have an iPod. It's actually my old iPhone, actually. But I have an iPod, and the reason why I have an iPod, even though I have an Android phone myself, but I do like my iPod for when I go to the gym and stuff like that, because I don't want the phone ringing when I'm at the gym. I want to just kind of relax and lift my weights and run my treadmill. But I do have an iPod, and most places have. I mean, who doesn't have wireless anymore nowadays? But long story short, the iOS 7, definitely a huge change. Definitely a huge change. In the way that Apple made it's a lot. Apple's always done small changes, but this is a very, very drastic change for Apple, and not hit with the greatest of reception from a lot of people. Surprisingly enough, kind of a little shocked to see how many people actually didn't enjoy the new iOS as much as I particularly thought they would have, but apparently a lot of people didn't really enjoy it that much, which is, I mean, not everybody's going to like everything that comes out, but it's very surprising how much people really didn't like the iOS 7 update. One of the first times I've seen in years that people were not very receptive to something that Apple actually rolled out. And let's not forget, too, as well, the new iPad rumors floating around with Apple. A lot of things really, really changing in the Apple's whole system. So the iOS 7, definitely a big change, definitely received with mixed reviews. So we'll see what happens here over the next couple of see what happens. I mean Apple's definitely not going to undo what they did, but wouldn't be surprised if they don't pull like a Windows 8 type of thing and release an update that changes things maybe back or gives you the option of going back to the old look and feel. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but that's all speculation and rumor. But definitely something that could happen. Apple not in the best of graces within recently over some issues. Their stock obviously been a little shaky, been a little shaky, not so much bad, but been a little shaky. But Apple definitely wanting to definitely satisfy their customers because they don't want to lose any. And obviously, Samsung really starting to really gain some serious traction, and definitely want to keep their people, their users and all that happy. The question is, Tim Cook doing a good job, remaining to be seen. I'm personally not a huge Tim Cook fan, but I think he's doing the best job he knows how to do. But it remains to be seen what else Apple's going to do to go ahead and keep try to keep going and rolling on, and we'll see what happens with them. I mean, they're definitely not going anywhere. Those of you that watched the keynote for the new iPhone, you saw those numbers. Definitely every year they sell more iPhones than they did the year before, so they're definitely not going anywhere. But definitely they want to keep those numbers going. They're going to have to really try to make their consumers happy. So one of the other things too, I guess we talked about for the most part the two major things that I wanted to talk about. We'll go into our news. As we know, every week we always go over the news articles that I think are relevant. A lot of websites of that, blog sites of that, they really do really get a little bit out of hand with the everything's a news story with them. I always try to pick the stories that I think are the most important and most relevant. I'm not saying I'm always right, but I can tell you this: I try to pick the best stories possible So this way, you guys get you get the important news of the week, the big bullet items that you're going to hear about, and then the so I always find some of the stories just seems like, you have to look at, most big blog sites do about 20, 30 posts a week and do 20, 30 posts a day, and sometimes they just, they're digging for news, and they make it into a news story that really shouldn't have been a news story. So I always try to pick the most relevant stories, of the week that were the big topics. But if you ever have any news stories that you think, you think are important that maybe I missed, or have any comments on the news stories that, I mentioned, again, feel free to call in with a phone number, or send me an email on the website. It doesn't matter either way. And, we'll talk about it on the air. So, first, going through BlackBerry sued for allegedly misleading investors about the BlackBerry 10 sales. This was actually a big news story this week, actually. Saying that in September of last year, BlackBerry, then operating under the name Research in Motion, tried to assure investors that its long-awaited BlackBerry 10 device were finally close to release and would be a hit. Saying that the company's CEO noted in the second quarter of the earnings, saying that carriers and developers are responding well to the previous platform. Make no mistake about it. We understand how much we're driving the improvements across the platform and all type of stuff. Almost like a year later, the company revealed that it would take nearly a $1 billion charge due to unsold Z10 devices, lay off more than a third of its staff, and tentatively agree that it would once again be considered to acquisition from other places. So definitely, something that, they lied to their staff and lied to their shareholders and all that. So definitely, they're under a little heat for that. BlackBerry obviously on the verge, has already declared bankruptcy. They're looking to be purchased. They're looking to be, they're a company with bad leadership and not an innovative product, which is they're just dying a slow death, and I think we all know that. By the way, Spotify being called apparently there was an big article saying that Spotify engineering the music economy. Definitely Spotify much more innovative than most. They've taken a chunk out of Pandora with their artist radio. They've taken a chunk out of iTunes with their platform. And the way they allow you to put allow you to download MP3s onto your mobile devices and iPods and all that stuff. They definitely have definitely taken a huge cut of the industry. So they definitely are re-engineering. They've done stuff that a lot of that Apple couldn't do. They've done the whole social sharing piece, which something Apple still hasn't done yet. They've gotten artist exclusives. They've really totally reinvented the way music is done, and I have a Spotify account myself. I think it's a fabulous service. It's a privately owned company, so they don't have any shareholders to go ahead and make happy, and they're definitely a company that is definitely growing rapidly, and definitely a company that's being led properly. Obviously, as you know, not only is their owner know what he's doing, they also have, in my opinion, one of the best leaders as far as the music industry goes. Obviously, Sean Parker working for them. Just really a company that really knows what they're doing and has their vision set properly. Some other stuff as well in the news. Last Sunday, which I didn't talk about it, Apple CEO Tim Cook, they commemorated the anniversary of Steve Jobs' death on the Apple website. That was obviously up. Apple buys AppCure, which is a new type of app that they have purchased. I guess they're looking to do something with it. Not exactly sure what yet, but purchasing this new app, latest acquisition by Apple, $35 million. They priced between $35 and $45 million. Apple are reporting some of the major errors. Yeah, it looks like they're going to purchase them, but they haven't said what they're going to do with them yet. So we'll see what happens with that. Instagram starting to rolling out ads now. We knew that was coming, by the way, folks. They have to make revenue. I mean, you can't knock them for trying to make revenue. So they're actually coming out they're actually going to be rolling out ads very, very soon this week. And they are, I think now they're trying to, they got to make money. I mean, $1 billion acquisition. Eventually, you got to make some cash with it. So some other stuff as well, which I thought was kind of neat. School boards now streaming their board meetings live on Ustream and all that. I got to tell you, with the way open records are nowadays, I'm really surprised any board would do that, because now everything ever said is on record. But apparently, some schools are doing it now. So, and part of the reason why they do that, folks, is because a lot of the taxpayer, just because I have a house. In other words, for example, if I had a house in California, I might be paying school taxes, but I don't live in California full time. So this way, people that live in other states and pay property taxes can actually watch the board meetings, give input, and all that stuff. Not exactly sure if I agree with that, but definitely something a lot of schools are doing now. Siri, the voice actor's coming forward saying it was creepy at first. She basically got a job recording. Didn't know it was Apple. She basically got a job recording voiceovers and stuff like that, and she knew it was for Apple. So she came up, and it's apparently her voice now on Siri, so that's pretty neat. Microsoft executives say Xbox One Kinect is not built for advertising. Apparently, Microsoft eating a little heat over why they can't use the Xbox, why they're not advertising on the X. They are advertising, but not like what a lot of people. A lot of people want to actually advertise and all that, and use the information from the Kinect to go ahead and target ads. And apparently, Microsoft's saying they can't do that. So, MasterCard apparently joining the push for fingerprint ID scan. So if you want to pay for something with your phone, you'll pay with your MasterCard, then you'll have to put your phone on the screen to go ahead and finish the payment. Definitely could when it comes to access control. Definitely good when it comes to ID verification. Something MasterCard is joining. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Visa and American Express are already on the bandwagon with that. But now MasterCard going ahead and joining them as well. I have all four big major credit card companies are going to be in with this shortly. Microsoft reportedly seeks to put Windows Phone on Android devices. Right now, not a lot of information on this, only that I guess Microsoft wants to go ahead and start putting their platform on HTC and places like that. Not really sure what the response is going to be. Samsung has kind of said no. HTC right now is the first company to actually make both Android and Windows phones. Obviously Microsoft 3.7% of their market is finding it necessary to make concessions after agreeing to acquire Nokia. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I always say Nokia. I don't know why. It's really. They're trying to get on Samsung. They're basically doing anything to try to increase their mobile market share, and it doesn't. They got to get on the platforms to do that, so they're working on it. iPhone 5S fingerprint scanner flaw found. Apparently, allows you to hijack an Apple phone. That was up on the news this week. Hackers already saying they hacked it. Not exactly. We've heard about it, but we haven't exactly. There have been proof of concepts, but we don't know if anybody's actually ever done it yet. A lot of stuff still with that. Apparently, it's a German company saying they're able to do that. They did, like I said, they did do a YouTube video on it and did show it, but Apple hasn't acknowledged or not if it's actually a legitimate hack. We don't know yet. After unlocking the phone, the hacker would be able to access owner's Apple account if two-form factor authentication has been turned on. After that, the hacker would be able to see iPhone 5S's owner's email, addresses, and all of that. Like I said, it was for the hack. Obviously, what's happening is the hack. You have to have airplane mode turned on. It says that disables all the wireless connections. Preventing the iPhone owner from doing a remote wipe. Airplane mode could be disabled without the fingerprint if the phone is set up under default settings. So that's the only flaw that they have right now, and obviously the whole airplane mode makes a big difference. I don't know anybody that puts their phone in airplane mode. I don't know if anybody does put their phone in airplane mode. I suppose. I mean, I know some of the old players, you have to put it in airplane mode to use it, but I don't know anybody that really does. No. October 12th, Anonymous is saying they're going to DDoS. They're going to do another massive DDoS. No information yet on who. NASA tracking tour users through Google Ads. That was a big article this week in the news as far as security goes. Article's coming up right now. Not right now. Many of the websites talking about Tor, a free website and open source software network that helps you defend against traffic analysis, a form of network surveillance that threatens personal freedom and privacy, confidential business activities and relationships. It's being reported that NSA tried to compromise Tor but failed to do that every time. New report is showing, though, that they've been able to use. NSA has been able to track Tor users through ad networks like Google and the Onion routers own entry and exit nodes on the internet. So a lot of things going on with that. And it looks like the NSA pretty much buys ads from ad display companies like Google and sends them around Tor's access points. The NSA then takes the cookies ads, and then every time you go to the website, the cookie identifies you even through your IP address because of Tor and other things. So it's a pretty interesting looking hack that they've actually figured out how to get around the Tor thing. So some other stuff here in the news that we a little bit of old news, but obviously Adobe hacked 3 million customers' data stolen, along with credit and debit cards. That was news, obviously last weekend, but we didn't get it on the show. So, Bitcoin forum hacked. Users required to change their password. That was in the news as well this week. As far as the news, as far as Bitcoin goes. Some other things as well, kind of old news, but I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't mention it. Bill Gates saying that the Control Alt Delete was a mistake. So I thought that was kind of humorous. I figured I'd just throw it on the podcast. I thought it was kind of funny. We actually didn't watch I watched the video, but we didn't talk about it too much, but. NASA actually asking ham radio operators to go ahead and help out with the effort for Juno. That was actually news this past week in amateur radio. NASA Juno mission to Jupiter will perform a close flyby the Earth in a few. It's in a few hours. It's actually, this was on the 9th. It actually was asking ham radio operators if they could please send a CW message to it and see if they can make contact with it. So a lot of guys actually did this. It was really neat, kind of different. Definitely nice to see some amateur. It's nice to see amateur radio still alive and well. DirecTV overhauls its 800-person IT group with a game. Apparently, DirecTV trying to go ahead and trying to get their employees to be more active, trying to increase morale, trying to do pretty much make it a fun place for people to work with, making it a game, and making their help desk kind of a game where the more tickets you would do, the more points you would get, trying to there's just tons of different games, trying to make it more collaborative. Like, if you could solve a problem that nobody else could, you would get, points, and trying to turn it into a game. They made a whole social sharing aspect on their internal website, really trying to make a happy work environment for their people. So, some other news as well. It actually was I believe it was in the Boston Times. That they don't have FiOS in Boston. Apparently, Mark Wahlberg was complaining that there was no FiOS in Boston. FiOS, obviously, fiber being very expensive to running into every household was originally the plan, but it's been slowly scaled back. that fiber wire is a couple dollars a foot, and to run it to every household, and maybe every household might not get it. So they've slowly, the plan was to do it for everybody, and now looks like what the plan of these companies are is they're actually polling their customers to say, hey, would you buy Fios? And if they get enough people in one area, they'll put the Fios in that area. So it's something that was a great idea, but they found it was too expensive to go ahead and do it all at once. So now they're kind of doing it the other way, saying, okay, well, if you and 100 of your neighbors want it, we'll run it in your little area, but we're not going to do it for everybody. So, kind of from a business standpoint, I understand why they're doing it. From if you're the only person in a neighborhood that wants it, kind of stinks. So, if you remember Google Fiber. They want, that you would have to, I remember they started that whole thing when they said, okay, well, give $10 and, you and your, give $10 to say you want it. And then, however you can get to give $10, to the cause, if you had enough people in that area that would give $10 to Google, they would go ahead and run the fiber for you. So, I guess maybe that's what Boston needs to do. If Mark Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg's a pretty famous actor. You think if he wanted Fios, he could get it? I mean, he probably could afford to pay for it. Not exactly sure why he doesn't have it. I'm sure he could afford to get it if he really wanted it. Microsoft hands out $28K to an IE11 bug bounty. Microsoft's first time they've ever done something like this. Microsoft not big in paying for security exploits. Google and Facebook, two guys that really pioneered that. Paying for bounties. Facebook really was the first one to do it, and then Google picked up on it. Microsoft has never actually done it, so Microsoft's starting that now. They're actually really big. Microsoft realized they have to do. Microsoft is finally starting to realize they have to offer services that other companies are offering, even if they don't want to do it because of how important it is to stay competitive. And Microsoft realized they're not the only game in town anymore, so they have to start doing it. But Microsoft handing out bug bounties for the first time ever in history. And like I said, Facebook and Google have been doing it, and Apple's been doing it too for a while now. But Microsoft finally jumping on that bandwagon. So T-Mobile announces that free data roaming and texting in 100 countries. That's new. Some other news as well. Twitter IPO will launch November 15th. By the way, folks, that's what I've been hearing. Not sure if that's a rumor or not. I'm not really exactly sure, but that's what we're hearing. Another thing new, kind of in pop news, Eminem survival video shows of Call of Duty ghost footage. That was on the news as well this week. Some other news as well, by the way, folks, and I kind of, I don't know if it's really breaking news, but kind of news to me. Flickr's ISO update actually uploads all the photos automatically from your camera. Not sure if it's I noticed it today on my phone. Not sure if it's a huge deal or not, but if you have pictures on there that maybe aren't appropriate for the rest of the world to see, you might want to disable that. Comcast subscribers can soon watch TV via Twitter. That was news as well. Not a huge amount of information on that particular news article, but either way, I thought it was news that we should cover. Apparently TV shows like The Voice and it looks like it's going to be NBC Universal Comcast announced Wednesday that they're going to enter into a partnership with Twitter that will let millions of Xfinity TV customers view TV shows and movies via Twitter feeds. I'm not sure that's going to go yet, but we'll see how it happens. And apparently there's going to be some other shows. It says some of the shows that are on here. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but this looks like shows online for set-top boxes, DVRs. Looks like some of the most pop through Fandango, NBC Universe Network, CBS, Sci-Fi, NBC, and others have access to the features, The Voice show, All Access Hollywood, stuff like that. So it looks like all those shows are going to be available up online. Another report, like I said, Apple to unveil the new iPad, apparently on October 22nd. That's nothing's been confirmed yet, but that was on the news. It looks as well, some other stuff. Google's Eric Schmidt saying that the Android's more secure than the iPhone. I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like a 50-50. Yes, in some ways, yes. In other ways, no. Same thing with Apple. It's more secure in some ways, some way insecure in other ways. So, Google adds TV episodes and schedules in search results. That's actually big news because normally, Google wasn't in that business, but apparently now they're going to start adding that stuff in. They've always done, if you search, if I type in, Cinemark up or in Google up where I am, I would always get the show times of the movies and stuff like that as a native search result, organic search result. But apparently now Google is going to start adding TV schedules and stuff like that right into the actual show piece. So that's or add that schedule right into their Google search piece organically. So that is kind of news. So that was kind of neat. That Google's doing that. Again, Google's in the information business. So the more data they collect and the more data they know about you, the better. So the more they want to offer you in their search engine. Google, not only is Google adding search results, but they are also as well, if I'm not mistaken, going to be, I think they're going to be adding some other new features that they were talking about the other day. I don't have the article in front of me, but apparently there is some more features they're going to start adding very, very shortly. I don't remember exactly what they are. I can't find the article. Grand Theft Auto shatters 7 Guinness Book of World Records. That was kind of neat. Definitely a game that definitely is popular and definitely people love it and broke 7 records. I have them listed right here, so I'll go through them. Best-selling action-adventure video game in 24 best-selling action-adventure video game in 24 hours. Best-selling video game in 24 hours. Fastest entertainment property gross to a billion. Fastest video game to gross $1 billion. Highest grossing video game in 24 hours. Highest revenue generator in 24 hours. Most viewed trailer for an action game. So good for them. A lot of people were waiting for that game, so it doesn't surprise me that it broke the records it did. Amazon takes on PayPal with its own checkout service. That was in the news this week. Jeff Bezos, I believe, unveiled that. Something new Amazon's trying. Is trying to compete, and I always personally have said, why can't I pay for my stuff through PayPal on Amazon? But I guess they're going to have a new service now that's going to allow you to do that. So definitely, Amazon, definitely a company that's always looking they're definitely always looking at ways to make people go to their site, giving them incentives and stuff like that. So another way that they're going to be competing. Yahoo, as well, by the way, launching a bug bounty program. That was in the news this week. Not only did Microsoft, like I said, offer the first bug bounty, but Yahoo obviously went ahead and offered a bug bounty. So that was news. Evernote begins selling branded bags, scanners, and socks. They're trying to do pretty much what they do with Angry Birds. So they're going to start. They're selling branded merchandise, and I have to say, they do have quite a cool logo. I do like their logo. So. Yahoo stock tops $30 for the first time since 2008. Definitely a true tribute to their CEO. She's worked very, very, very hard at making that bringing that company back to where it was years ago. So good for her. And $30 a share it's for them, that's big. I mean, considering their stock was like down to the teens at one point. So good for them. Glad that they're recovering. She definitely, Melissa Mayer is definitely one of the best CEO choices they could have made, and it just shows you how good leadership can definitely bring a company back from not doing so well. So good for them, and definitely a tribute to her. I give her a lot of credit. She had a baby, came right back after it. She knew she had just a huge nightmare on her hands as far as the company goes, and she definitely stepped up, and good for her. And I have nothing but good to say about her. She definitely was the right person for the right job. iOS 7 slim lock screen bypass vulnerability. Like we said, we already talked about that. I had that, by the way. Had that twice listed in my list. I'm sorry about that. Apple's own encryption mechanism allows hackers to create undetected malware. That was in the news this week. For some reason my browser is just crawling this morning. let's see. Here we go. In the past, there was general belief that Macs in much more secure world than Windows, but now Mac's malware is a serious threat. One of the reasons behind the increase in the Mac-related malware attacks is the fact that Apple products are popular with many predominant businesses, individuals. Reverse engineering led developers, former person that works with IDA comes up with another interesting thing about Apple's malware. Apple implements internal encryption mechanisms to protect people from things. Well, apparently, now that this algorithm has been reverse engineered, you can actually use it. You can actually encrypt malware and inject it into the machines and make it completely undetectable. Some of the anti-malware projects will not be able to pick it up because obviously it is encrypted on the drive. So this is actually huge, folks, because this is this has been something that's been coming up lately. Not only in Apple's world, but in the Windows world as well, the malware writers are getting smarter and smarter. Now they're figuring out since antiviruses and malware programs can't detect encrypted malware. Anything that's encrypted, by the way, the antivirus stuff can't read because it's encrypted. But now they're figuring out if they encrypt the malware, they can get past the antivirus programs. And if they encrypt the malware, they can run the malware when they want, and the antivirus still can't remove it, even though it's running because it's encrypted. So definitely, this is the future of malware, I think, and this just shows you. No matter how secure your product is, the bigger your product is, you're going to become more of a target. And Apple is becoming more of a target now that they are one of the bigger fish in the fight. So. Microsoft patched Tuesday 8 security updates for critical vulnerabilities, including an Internet Explorer patch that came out. That was in the news this week. And so that's pretty much it as far as security goes in the news this week. I think those are the only two real big news stories for this week. So let's move on here to probably my favorite part of the shows here, the questions and the answers. Got a lot more questions this week than we did last week. So, but again, folks, you can feel free to go on the website, thetechnologygeek.org, and email us the questions, submit your questions there, or even better yet. Go ahead and call us 570-630-0744. Either call from your phone. Or you can go ahead on our website and click on the call us, and it's free right through Google Talk. So 2 ways to submit it to us. Either way, it's up to you. It doesn't matter. But go ahead and leave your feedback, folks. We really would like it, and the more calls we get, the better. And believe it or not, how many people actually. By the way, folks, that wasn't the original idea. Somebody gave it to me. I'm surprised how many people actually had requested that. A couple people said, well, so you have any call-in numbers? We can call in instead of having to type and stuff. So, I'd rather the call-in number myself. I know myself, I do like to call into radio shows once in a while. So I personally would rather the call-ins myself. But it's completely up to you, whatever you want to do. But you can call us and text us on that number. So, and we'll answer your questions right on the air. And if the more we get, we'll start putting it through the mixing board here and get your right on the podcast, which would really be cool. Somebody call us in with a question, and we can put you right on the podcast, and people can hear your voice and all that right on the podcast. So, the first question I got, surprisingly enough, was from somebody that I guess works in the medical field, and their company is looking to move over to Exchange Server, and they asked me how it worked. So the neat thing about Exchange Server. Exchange has most Exchange servers. You could run everything on one server if you're a small business owner, but for a big company, I don't know how big your company is, but for a larger company, they're going to use probably 5 servers. Now you can have your Edge server, your 2 Hubcast servers, which handle the mail transport, and the Edge server is probably going to sit out in your DMZ or outside the network somewhere. And then you can have your 2 mailbox servers, which are your databases and your logging servers, but you could run them all on one server if you're just a small business with 5-10 people. But for most of your anybody over, 20, 30, 40 employees are probably going to have to go to at least one hubcast server, one mailbox server, and an edge server. And and some people even will do the mailbox in the hubcast on one, and then put the edge server out on the web. I don't recommend putting the edge server. The edge server handles, your spam and stuff like that. Some other things too I recommend, if your company is looking to do the mail, there are a lot of anti-spam programs. Anti-spam is built into Exchange. They do have products, a Symantec for Exchange, Forefront for Exchange. But Microsoft does have Forefront in the cloud, which actually does takes care of the the spam filtering out in the cloud, and they actually host your MX record for you and all type of stuff. It's actually a good service if your company can afford it. Actually, it's actually cheaper, believe it or not, than actually hosting your spam filter internally. So that's something I'd recommend for you guys if that's something you're interested in. Definitely something. Something to look into if your company's really taking spam so seriously. It's relatively reasonable for Microsoft to do your spam filtering for you. By the way, if you're these guys won't be because it says it's a medical company, but if you're an educational customer, Microsoft will do your spam filtering free for you. Just so you know that. The next question I have is. I have a computer business and I am looking to expand. What business ideas do you have? Well, if you're looking to expand your business, there's some things you can do. If you're a computer company, just a computer repair business, you can do remote support. That's something you can look into. A lot of people do that. That's what All American Computer Repair does. We do remote support, and you can do remote support. You can do web design. You can do search engine optimization, because remote support, web design, SEO, those are things you could do remotely, and you're not limited just to your local area. So that's something you might actually want to consider doing. That's an option. There are other things you can do. You can get into there's a lot of things you can do. You can expand out. Into resale and stuff like that. But I would say remote support or web design or SEO or programming, those are things you can do remotely. You can make extra money and not even have to leave your office. Those are what I tell a lot of computer businesses to do. You can sell on, start an eBay business, start selling stuff on Amazon. There's a lot of things you can do that you can expand your business and not even have to leave your office. So those are my suggestions. If anybody else has any suggestions, go ahead, like I said, and send them in. We can give it to this person. Another question I had, which I'm not it's really old school, so I want to throw it on the podcast anyway. I'm not making fun of it or anything like that. But somebody asked, "Is there any way I can sell ISP service?" Years ago, you used to be able to get yourself a T-line. And then, I remember one of my first computer, I got my first computer. It came with, I bought it from, a local guy. And back then, that's before the really big vendors. You had big vendors, but you mostly bought it from people that made computers. Is there, I get a year free of internet service, and it was dial-up, and you dialed in and all that. I mean, there's still people on dial-up, surprisingly enough, but I don't personally. I mean, you can resell internet services. Some places do allow that. You have to talk to your local ISPs, or if you're a national company, you have to find out from ISPs if you can resell their service. I think Verizon does offer it with their DSL service, but I don't know. You have to look into your local ISPs to see, but you can resell ISP service. But if I don't know if you're trying to host your own ISP, that's going to be incredibly expensive. And I don't know if it's going to be a model where you can really make money. So I would recommend, if you do want to just go ahead and resell DSL, resell cable. I mean, you can do stuff like that, but if you're planning on hosting your own ISP, I don't think that's going to work. But a lot of local ISPs don't even allow you to resell their service anymore. They want to sell directly to consumer. So you're going to have to look into that. But that was kind of a neat question. I had another one too, another neat question here. Definitely, I'm so glad we're getting a lot of we're getting technical questions as well as business questions and stuff like that. Radio questions, as we have one on here. So good to really that we're getting a lot of different questions. So it's good. It really makes the podcast much more interesting. somebody said, I need to buy AC unit for my small data center. What do you recommend? APC is for the most part is the biggest name in the industry. They're cheap. They're not cheap, but they're reasonable. Liebert, they're a good company. Those are the two companies I've worked with and I would recommend. But you're going to have to see what your budget is for your company, what they want to do with it. Do they want them network connected? Do they want them not? You're going to have to see, are they going to want monitoring? A lot of places are going to want, be able to, put a dialer on the wall. And if the data center gets too hot, they're going to call, your AC guy. They're going to call you. They're going to call the CEO, the CFO of the company. You need to see what they're going to do, what your budget is, and get the most bang for your buck. I know APC does all that natively, which is one of the reasons why I'm recommending it, because they come with their own monitoring system, and you can actually hook them right into the internet and hook them up right up to a modem, and they actually dial out for you. That's why I'm recommending them. But you do have a lot of other options that you can do. So go ahead and look into it and see exactly, what your company wants to do, what your budget is, and go from there. And if once you get all that together, you can ask my recommendations if you want. Once I know, what kind of without having a budget to know working, it's really hard to recommend what you're actually doing. So, another question is too. I got a person that says I am a programmer, but my job wants me to. I program in PHP, but they want me to learn how to do Python. Is there any way to learn it quickly? And you could get a Python book off Amazon and do a cram over the weekend. That's an option. There actually is something called CPT Nuggets. They make nuggets for everything. If you want to watch instructional videos over a weekend, you could probably in a weekend learn the basics of Python programming that way. There's a couple different options there, but I would recommend you getting a book and cramming over the weekend, or just getting the CP Nuggets and watching the videos. That's probably the two best ways. CPT Nuggets are going to run you a couple $100. The book maybe not as much, but you never know, your company might pay for it, might be able to expense it. So that's an idea. Another one I got is I'm studying when they're studying for a CompT exam. They didn't say which one it was. Probably the A+, Net+, Security+, one of the three biggies. What's a good exam practice? I personally like Pass for Sure. They're a really good company. I like them for $100. They guarantee you pass. You can get the book and go through there. There are tons of exam books, but I tend to find that the practice software is the best, only because the software itself will walk you through take this from somebody too that's taken several technology certification exams. I tend to find that they're the best because they actually walk you physically through the exam and actually take you through step by step. You get the look and feel of how to work the exam software. You get the look and feel of how to take them. You get the look and feel of the time, what kind of time frame you have, and all that. So Pass for Sure is a good one. Transcender, I don't know if that's still around anymore. There's a lot of good ones out there. You can just get the book for a few dollars and go through them, but you're not going to get the look and feel of the test, and you're definitely you have to look at the data in the book because the tests are always changing, and with those things like Pass for Sure and stuff, they're constantly updating the test. So you might want to look into that. And the last question I have, somebody said to me, I just got my technical exam license for my ham radio license. I'm looking to get my first radio. Should I get a handheld or a base unit? Well, here's the thing. They say you shouldn't start with a handheld when you first get your license. I started with a handheld because it was reasonable. I could afford it at the time. The FT77 is probably one of the best handhelds that Yaesu ever made. That's an option you can do. There are cheap, affordable base units you can buy, like a like the 1900, the 1700. But here's the thing: no matter whether you get a cheap base unit or whether you get a cheap handheld, when it comes to Yaesu programming, the way they program the radios, or even any of the other any of the other companies, if you learn the programming, you're going to be able to operate any radio. So I would recommend, you get yourself what you can afford. Probably your handheld is going to be your cheapest bet. Get what you can afford, and then go from there. learn the programming, learn how to field service the radio, all that stuff. And then once you've done that, then you can go ahead and look into buying yourself a handheld. The other thing is too, you're gonna need to know about antennas. You're gonna need to know that. So get yourself a handheld, or get yourself, learn how to program the radio, learn how to talk on the repeater. Then once you learn stuff and you start knowing stuff, then you can make your bigger purchase into your base station, because your base station is going to be a big purchase, because you need the antenna, you need the radio, you need the antenna tune. There's a lot of other stuff you're going to need. So get yourself a handheld, learn how to talk on a repeater, learn how to operate the radio, learn how to program it, and then you can go ahead, and once you get some knowledge under your belt, you can go ahead and purchase what you want. If you do want to purchase a base station first, I strongly recommend that you get a base station that does all the bands. So this way you don't have to make a second purchase. You just need to purchase an antenna. So, well, that's about all for the Technology Geek podcast this week. Just so you know, too, folks, a lot of new shows coming on tonight. The Walking Dead's coming back tonight. Very popular show. I really enjoy it. As well as there's just so many good shows just during the week in general. I know it's funny because I watch Arrow, Walking Dead. There's just so many more to list. Sons of Anarchy. There's so many great shows right now to watch this time of year. But I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this Walking Dead premiere. I know there's going to be a new character premiere tonight. Just so much, just so much great television on. I'm not a huge TV watcher, but I do watch a couple of good shows. So, Walking Dead's one of them. Arrow, Sons of Anarchy. I do watch, Shark Tank. I'm trying to think of other ones I watch. Thursday night I'm watching Pawn Stars. I watch. I think what else I watch. 2.5 Men's kind of funny. And so there's a lot of good programming on right now. So. Set your DVR box. Like I said, tonight's the first night of The Walking Dead. We're going to get a new character. We're going to see, how things come from, how things coming out from last year and stuff like that. And it's been a long wait for it, but it's a really, really good show. It's one of my more favorite shows on TV. So, like I said, I want to thank everybody for listening, and we will talk to you next week here on the Technology Geek. And I want to thank everybody again for listening. And as always, you can follow me on my Twitter at LaPannyTech. Always on our website, thetechnologygeek.org, and as well, like I said, please feel free to call in with your questions and comments, of course, at our new phone number, 570-630-0744, or on our website. You can call for free through Google Talk. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you next week.